morning shade for 5, man. It's one of my favorite parts of the show, Heather.
Talk to him.
You know, when we sat down and first talked about doing this show, a couple of things we talked about is obviously being ahead of the curve and making sure we give opportunities to up-and-coming rising stars so they could be on a big platform like this.
Absolutely.
The other thing we said we're going to do is make sure we tell the truth, our truth, right?
100%.
And then the third thing, because you and I both came into the game as artists, we made music, produced music, promoted music, toured music, the whole nine. I said I want to make sure we pay homage to those who came before those who are blowing up now, those who opened the doors for the people who are winning now,
right,
and those who hold a real special place in our heart because their music and their careers are like the soundtrack of our lives.
Factual.
So I'm just going to go through a few songs right now, just that, can we do it like that?
Whatever you want.
Okay.
It says Sway in the morning.
There it is, Taylor.
Hey.
You already know.
What
I
a
remember.
beautiful voice.
I know her for a number of reasons. Over 75 million albums and singles sold worldwide. Wow. Give her a big round of applause for that. 3 Grammy nominations. American Music Awards and multiple New York Music Awards. Give her a round of applause for that.
Yes.
You see the New York Hall of Fame honors. It was ranked at number 18 on Rolling Stone list of best female dance artists of all time. Give her a round of applause for that. Billboard in 2016 ranked her number 28th most successful dance artist of all time.
Wow.
Number 28 in all the dance artists, the millions that have come out. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome the one and only Taylor Dayne.
Receive your flowers.
Yes.
Taylor, I know.
Thank you, love.
I know. Please play any one of her hits, Wonder. Any one of.
Come on.
Yeah. Come on, man.
Everybody knows
Tell it to my heart. Oh, man. Taylor, when you hear these songs, do you sing along with them like we do?
I will.
You will? Let's do it.
I feel the night explode when we're together. And I'm watching Anthony. Emotion overload. Not bad. Heat of pleasure. Take me into your arms. There you go. Let's go, Sway. All right, girls, you got to know this shit. Tonight I really need to know. Come on. Tell it to my heart. Tell me I'm the only one. Is this really love or just a game? Tell it to my heart. I can feel my body run every time you call. Yeah.
Taylor Dayne, ladies and gentlemen.
I gotta get ready for the show tomorrow.
That's
I feel
an
this.
artist right there.
Yes, beautiful.
Well-rounded artist.
Thank you, lover.
And Taylor has this book, and I was so interested in going through your book. It's called Taylor Dayne, Tell It to My Heart, How I Lost My Shit, Conquered My Fear, and Found My Voice.
Yeah.
And I didn't know you're from New York?
I'm born and raised.
Born and raised in New York.
Yeah, born in New York Hospital, raised a couple of years in the Bronx, and then Jewish parents said we're going to go out to Long Island and try to have the suburbia lifestyle with you.
That don't seem like that worked for you.
It didn't work that much.
Okay, great.
No, I mean, look, I'm a New York girl through and through.
New York. So you had your club run as a
I had my
young
club
girl.
run.
Okay.
Did it all.
Did the drugs, all that shit too?
Well, not so much drugs. A lot of alcohol, but no.
Hey, watch out! You found a friend.
I found a friend. Bubbly.
All of it.
Yeah, I don't do the dark liquor. I do the white.
You do the white.
Yeah, I'm a martini girl.
You're a martini girl.
Gin or
Martini
vodka?
girl. No vodka.
Yeah, can't
Gin
do
is
gin.
hell
This is
no,
the
girl.
devil's
I like
sperm.
This devil's sperm. No, that would be tequila, honey.
The devil's sperm.
I mean,
Yeah.
okay, we're off topic.
No, we're not.
Yeah.
We finding out about Taylor. It's interesting. You're so young, and when you start achieving a high level of success. And I remember I was in the Bay when these songs were coming out,
you tell me.
and then this dance craze was happening. We were going over like George Lamont and Stevie B and Cover Girls and TKA and all of the who did get dum 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 dum. That was a CNC Music Factory and
Oh yeah, that was 90s. Oh,
that was
God.
90s.
You're right.
I walked it up though.
You are, yeah.
And how did you get into music? Like, how did you realize your voice? Because your voice sounds amazing today.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it does.
And a lot of folks ain't able to hold it over the decades.
That's true.
I don't. We don't get get brownie points by getting into other artists in that per se.
Yeah.
But I will say this, most people don't know, but in the book I discuss I'm operatically trained. I studied voice. Why? Because I knew I was going to be in the clubs, and this is what I was doing. And it really, just like any athlete, I trained that way, and I have a foundation for it.
Okay.
Studied, yeah.
Who were some of the artists at that time that you wanted to be like? Was Shannon, and what were some of the different?
It was never dance like that.
Okay.
The phenomenon is that I grew up listening to rock and roll and R&B.
Okay.
The first inspiration for me was the radio. I grew up listening to WABC. But of course, when records started breaking here, I was already on BLS. I was on KTU, and there was this interesting, BLS with these R&B, Anita Baker's and on and on and on. But Sade, of course. This is early mid '80s. But you had what was going on in KTU, where these were artists that were breaking. So it was Shannon. It was Evelyn Champagne King. With these one songs, and I'm like, oh damn, maybe that's the way to do it, because these record labels are not signing me with these bands and these bands. And I mean, I was doing it at 18, 19.
18, 19.
Original artist. Oh, hell yeah.
Back then.
I was doing original music, bands, but I was like, I'm so over listening to Five Opinions, Get Five Places Nowhere. And that was it. I knew I needed to make a dance record. So that was such a weird way of getting into an industry, but was Tell It to My Heart a dance. It had this, the wall of sound. 5 days to do I think to get the reverb on that drum, that snare sound.
Just the snare sound?
Yeah, well,
5 days? Wow.
Yeah, baby.
Because everything
technology.
was analog. It was analog back then. So
there were no cell phones.
They was using 1/2-inch reel or 2-inch reels at
Babe,
the
when we
Ampex.
were, do you know what it's like to do vocals? As you know, you guys are in the studio. So we were doing, forget 24 track. I mean, forget that. When he was finally doing the 48 track. But just imagine, I was cutting and pasting my vocals together. Every vocal you've ever heard I've produced with Rick. Oh yeah.
Okay.
So edited, stopped, cut, paste. It was like, remember the big
the big machine, the Ampex machine.
Yeah.
So you learned in the studio, or did you train yourself in that way too, or you just knew what you wanted to hear?
Rick was 19. I was 20. I watched.
Okay. You watched.
But I sat in there with the engineer, and I knew like the sound, the nuance of my voice, every tone, every word. I made it was so. Once you're in the studio, you can control that to some degree.
Rick whom? You say
Rick Wake.
Okay, Rick Wake.
Rick Wake, man.
Wow.
Rick Wake was 19. I was 20.
Hitmaker.
I was giving him money from the Russian nightclub. I was singing in Brighton Beach, making money, and then I would go start. We did that vocal for Tell It to My Heart at 5 in the morning.
At 5 in the morning.
After the club, I had to.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is that the the Russian? What's the chapter in the book?
They called me the White Russian.
The White Russian.
The girl that
They
ended
called
up
her the White
home with me
Russian,
was
yeah.
Diane Jones. Miss Diane Jones, God love you. She was the Black Russian. That's what we did. I said, I'm going to get famous, girl, and I'm taking you with me.
Taylor Dayne is here, 888-742-3345.
That's what I wanted to ask you, because your voice was so amazing. And I remember hearing you on BLS, which for us was a black radio station. So I immediately thought you were black. Did you? Because
they did that on purpose.
Huh.
That was a
Talk about
marketing. It had to be. There was no photo of me on the first 12. But also, they signed a single album. I mean, I was not signed. I wasn't discovered like Whitney. There was nothing like that, except I knew this is the label that's going to get it with a big voice. Whitney had broken. Obviously, they turned
Clive
Aretha.
Davis.
This is Clive Davis. I mean,
Records,
Aretha Franklin came out with Who's Zooming Who. You had Dionne Warwick. I mean, this man knew voices. And I said to Rick, I mean, I was 20, but I wasn't dumb. And I said, this guy gets it. Whoever this label is, and they signed us. What a fluky thing, but for one song.
For the one song. But that guy got it. So,
got it. Yeah. Well, they didn't put my picture on that photo
because
and
that
they
guy
threw it
got
out in Europe.
He got it.
Let's throw it on the wall. See what sticks.
He knew what he was doing.
Yeah. Amen. Of course he did.
Clive Davis, one of the most celebrated music icons in history. How much? But I know how Clive was then. He used to pick songs for you to sing, and you had to do it. You write about that in the book a little bit.
Of course.
Yeah.
I just was at his Grammy party. Look, Clive was a father figure. I mean, he would tell me all the time, you're like my daughter, you're like my this. And this is once we started getting close. And yet at the same time, you want to celebrate and challenge yourself as creatively as an artist. You know, I came in there with material. I came in there with Tell It to My Heart. We were already a production team. At the same time, how do you embrace and support a challenging artist? I can say I was challenging, but who isn't? I mean, in my opinion. But you're right. Yeah, when you're told what to do, it kind of
do it.
Wears on you. He's like, do it.
Well, in the beginning.
Well, you might have been raised by a warm mama, and your environment might have been very supportive of do it, and you might have had a lot more trust than I did. And in the book, I discussed that. You know, my trust issues were very, very deep.
Where did it come from? What did the
My father, my family.
Talk about
very
that.
violent. I had a rageful, growing, environment growing up. The same. I love them. Thank God they're alive today. I think it's just the same people that are supposed to be safe in a safe environment are the same ones that are ripping the carpet from out. The slap and the hug. It's, it forms a mistrust. I said, this is going to get me out of here. I got to get out of here. In order to survive, I just hunkered into the music.
And Taylor Dayne, man, you never know, because when I was listening to your songs, I wouldn't have thought none of that. And I did think you was black, too, initially. Sure. But here's the thing. When I found out you weren't, I wasn't disappointed.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well,
listen, I grew up in Freeport.
Yeah.
In Roosevelt, Baldwin, what Howard Stern says, what Eddie Murphy says, I mean, I grew up there on the cusp of everything. My parents were very involved in blockbusting. They didn't believe in segregation. I mean, I grew up in a predominantly urban neighborhood. I understand it. They want to kick my ass every day when I walk to school.
Yeah.
And I said, listen, you know what? I live here, too. Like, let's get along and let's try and figure it out. And I talked my way out of a lot of shit.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I said, you know what? If this is the first voice I ever heard on the radio was Stevie Wonder. I mean, how can you go wrong?
Yeah.
You can't.
You can't go wrong.
No, so I mean, if this is my destiny, singing with the Winans, they're like, sister, what church? And I go, well, it was Temple, Bethel, whatever, but like, we're cool. I don't know. I don't know. I never went to church, but God knows I feel it in my bones.
You feel it. Never went to church.
Not like that.
Not like that.
I went to church in my little room because I was isolated by myself, trying to keep the war from coming into my room all the time.
Damn.
There was a war outside my bedroom.
With your parents.
Yeah, man.
They're still friends. They're friends to this day.
They love each other. They got back together. They were separated 10 years.
Wow.
I called disengaged, and of course I got famous while they were separated. And it's this odd thing. My mom ended up living in an ashram. There's this whole awakening that we all go through that we're getting to sit here today, 30 years later. It's a monumental time. So all our growth and all our experiences
and talk about it, right?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, you got to go on tour on. I think to this date, one of the biggest selling tours. It was the biggest selling tour of his time. Michael Jackson's The Bad Tour.
Well, it was the tour.
The tour.
After the Victory Tour, Michael took it to the next level. Of course, Madonna ended up using Freddie Demand and going in that direction. But I mean, Michael was the epitome of what you considered entertainment and created it. And I was just in a club in Boston, but I was a huge artist overseas already.
Yeah.
So they really broke me internationally first. And then I was back here now trying to break the record. And it was Tell It to My Heart. And it didn't take too long. But it was me, Keith Sweat. I'm trying to think who else was on the road at the same time. I mean, we were breaking those records. I wanna, and I was Tell It to My Heart. It was like, hey, Keith, what's up? And then I was with the Chili Peppers. Like, whatever song, that's what we were doing. That's where we were hunkered down.
And it was winning. It was winning. Did you meet Mike?
I sure did.
What
I met Michael. Like? I met Michael, well, briefly. Michael was too busy with Kings and Queens and in Monaco and doing, Michael was Michael World.
Yeah.
We did 2 shows a week if we're lucky. We're playing, he's playing out stadiums, but stadiums here are not soccer stadiums like they are in Europe. So these were 80,000 people. It was like Wembley. I mean, there's a lot of people. And it was my first experience. I played for thousands, but not 80,000.
Yeah.
You know what it's, you watch the movie Gladiator? All right. Well, that's what it sounds like. Wow. Oh. And they're lions, and they're going to eat you. And I was shitting my pants. And I'm like, and Michael does this whole thing before he even gets on stage. People don't remember he's doing that whole military jacket, the whole vibe. Yeah. Okay? He had about 8 militia and police officers and people chanting and doing pops with him, like, randa, bada, bada, huttu, 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 all backstage in green rooms, passing everything to get him so amped up before he even went on stage. That was his ritual before hitting. It was insane.
Like Wolf of Wall Street? Like,
yes.
That. Oh.
Yeah, straight up. And he was like, kick it 1, 2. They were all dressed in full military guns, rifles, and Michael's in the middle of this getting amped up and jumping up and down and up and down. And you're just watching this shit, and you can't help but get goosebumps and freak out. And I realized I just came after that. And then he runs on stage like this, shirt open, if you remember that review.
Yeah,
yes, of course.
Want to be starting something, wind's blowing and white shirts open and was quite a
was
spectacle.
calling the dance spirits up.
That's what he was doing.
But he'd never get away with that shit today. The stuff he was also doing was showing fandemonium, hosing down fans, people passing out. He wanted to keep them out. I mean, he lived to heighten. This stuff was insane. But I mean, people were crashing out there in the.
That was crashing, right?
Hosing them down.
Taylor Dayne, ladies and gentlemen, is here. You got to get the book, Taylor Dayne.
But I'll tell you one short story about Michael, because
Yes.
people don't. Michael, it was so. I ended up on the tour meeting his manager, God bless you, Frank DeLeo. If anybody saw Goodfellas or anything, Frank DeLeo was the man that did that 20 million, 100 million, for Thriller and all that. And Michael took him from CBS and Sony and said, "You're going to manage me?" And he's like, "Well, all right." With the cigar, we're talking about the little guy, Tukey. And on tour, he said to me, he goes, "I'm going to manage you." And I said, "You're going to manage me?" He goes, "Oh, yeah." He goes, "I just want to let you know, Michael told me." I go, "Well, can I do more shows with Michael? I mean, I've done 4, 5, 6. He does 2 shows a week, 150 trucks out. This is the most ridiculous thing you ever heard, right?" And he goes, "Well, Michael just, he said to me, he goes, Frank, I got to be honest, this girl's exhausting my audience. Frank, you got to take her off the tour. She's just exhausting them." I'm like, "I'm exhausting his audience. I'm lucky I'm getting out there with my little one song." I'm like, "Michael, you are Michael effing Jackson." It was too much fabulous.
I love it, man. Taylor Dayne's here. Get her ass off stage.
Get her out.
He's like, "She's killing him,
She's
Frank."
killing him, Frank.
He goes, "I got you. I just told him to relax."
We got Steve from Mississippi on the line.
Steve, what's poppin'?
What's up, man?
Hey.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Doing
Hi.
great.
Chilling.
I just wanted to let Taylor know, tell about me being a veteran, military veteran. I always love your music. I'm originally from Chicago,
Amen.
and I just wanted to ask you, I know you said that you did tours in Europe.
Yeah.
Was that one of your inspirations, for really getting into the dance music, for touring in Europe? Did that inspire you anyway?
Being in Europe, I mean, were you in Würzburg? Were you in any of the bases overseas?
Yeah, I was in Frankfurt.
Okay, well, obviously, I understand that, because when I was over there, a lot of some of the musicians I traveled with had family and fathers that traveled over there, and they understood that. So, being part of the military family, which I call that, has always been close to my heart. I know how you men and women have served, and people don't understand that. I forced myself to sleep on a submarine once, and that wasn't, that was unbelievable, intense.
Wow.
But you're always in my heart, and it inspired me for dance overseas. It's just the entire international experience. It was just huge. Things break there all the time, not here. It was a miracle.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, Steve, thanks for your service,
Thank you
too,
so
man.
much
You're
for
a
your
citizen,
service.
man.
Sway in the morning.
Always.
All right, we're going to come back with some more Taylor Dayne. Let me see. Taylor, any songs you want to hear? I was going to go
Of
with...
mine?
Yeah. What you want to hear?
Oh, God. You want to travel the first record, the last? I don't know. This is...
Let me get... Heather, you're going to love this one.
Okay.
I'll always love you. I don't know where you're going.
That's
Yeah.
the one. 888-742-3345. We coming back with more Taylor Dayne. Sway in the morning. Beautiful song right here. Taylor Dayne, she's here. Sway in the morning.
Damn.
This changed it all. This was nominated,
Yeah.
Best R&B vocalist, female, Best R&B song,
This was the one?
Record of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
I think Anita won that year.
Well.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Damn.
What a shocker.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm up against Anita Baker and Whitney on this. This is,
But that's amazing.
yeah, it was beautiful.
I-
An amazing time.
I remember those times. And you're a mom. The whole time. You've been a mom for 17 years now.
17.
But you
Single.
did a
crazy.
alternate. You had a surrogate?
I had to hire a surrogate. As you read in the book, I had massive health issues as a child.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, that rage has to go somewhere.
Yeah.
It went off in my body, so I really couldn't. I didn't think I could carry a child. When the opportunity came along, and it was only legal, which I didn't even know. It was a conversation. I was probably getting some electric surgery, going down on some sort of drug, and going, "Oh my God, I want a baby." I think I was like 37. I go, "This can't be all it is." And the woman was from Trinidad. She said, "Have a child." And I go, "Well, how am I going to do that?" She goes, "Hire a surrogate." I go, "What is that?" She goes, "It's rent a womb, child." I go, "Well, what does the baby look like?"
Rent a room.
Rent a room. I go, rent a. She goes, "Rent a womb." Trinidad.
Yeah.
Rent a womb. And I go, well, what is that? She goes, child, it's your egg. You get some sperm. And she made it just seem like a whole like easy thing, and you put it in a
Baking a cake.
Well, people talk turkey-based talk, and I'm like, okay. And I just was like, all I knew is she planted a seed.
Yeah.
The drugs probably allowed it to take free flight. And I just looked at her and I said, I'm going to be, and they didn't take single parents. It was only legal in California and I think Delaware. At the time, I mean, my kids are now 17. I was on a waiting list for a year. And now people are, it's such a common and obviously celebrated. And women that are having children so later in life, it's become almost it's a huge blessing. But yeah, I did it very ahead of the curve. And some of my gay friends and some of the couples that were denied having children and also denied being offered to work with some of these agencies, it was a big changing point in LGBT rights and for me as a single parent, and we really fought for that. And nothing's never been more right in my life than having those kids in the mix.
Are you gay?
Nope.
Oh, okay. So you just was the decision.
But I'm just a little old legend in the business for them.
There it is.
A little icon.
Hello.
And I'll tell you.
But you've been single, like you never got married, right?
Yeah, but the dude just left earlier. I mean, he had to go home. Just tell him, Stacy.
What happened, Stacy?
Stacy, Boston had to get back to Boston. She's lips are sealed.
Boston
had to get
guy?
back. I have a guy.
You got a guy?
Like
she
a
has
fuck
a special friend.
I got a special
She
friend.
has a special friend.
No, I've obviously dated for many years.
Okay.
It comes through. Did you give
I
me
see
that
the
book,
book. No,
Sway?
no, I saw.
Sway, give me the damn book and let me read the last
let
in the acknowledgments, for God's sakes.
Okay, but I saw you would.
And to all the men I've loved.
Bam! Bossed up.
All y'all my
You guys
hoes.
need to look at acknowledgments first.
Hey, listen, but let me ask, because I saw.
Hell yeah.
Well, so I saw in the book you'll see pictures with
Yeah.
Taylor with certain people,
A lot of men.
and Teddy Pendergrass
Oh, Teddy.
was one of the men that you see in that book.
That's true.
Was it just a professional relationship with him, or just somebody
Yeah,
else?
but go to the big ones like Prince, Robert Plant.
Okay,
There
so
was a little, there was definitely sexual tension in those relationships.
Did-
Daryl Hall.
Daryl Hall.
People don't know these things.
You and Daryl had an intimate relationship?
I'm not saying that, Sway. You are.
Okay.
I'm just trying to instigate things that could be potentially, possibly true.
So when they wrote Maneater.
No.
No. Okay.
It wasn't about you?
Oh, here she comes.
No, that wasn't you. I saw a picture of
I'm not a man eater.
Quentin Tarantino was in that book.
Quentin, yeah, he's another beautiful soul, isn't he?
Yo, this woman is gold.
Okay.
Okay.
I only grew up with brothers.
Okay.
My brother would come home with fruits on his shoulder and a chick on the other. That's all I know. And he was always bringing, one brother was down in the basement all the time. He's the one that told me, sis, you're Taylor Dayne now? I said, yeah. He goes, where'd you? It's a hooker. It's a porn star name. The record company was calling up like Taylor. I go, dude, I just got it from a baby book. You can blame Rick on that. And Richie Canada was trying to name his kid. Rick was like Taylor. And he goes, and how would he know? It was a porn star's name. Because he lived in the basement, my brother.
Your brother. Wow. Taylor
lived
Dayne
in
is
the
a porn
basement.
star now. I didn't know that.
We put a Y in the name. It was Dane. And the porn star went on to Taylor Wayne.
Okay. All right. So
Just
you
we're clear.
ruined her career. All right. I saw a picture of you and John Enos showed up to a film premiere together.
Well, definitely we were dating.
Holding hands. Yeah.
Well, that would, if you go to the premiere, you're ready to take a photo. Yeah, we dated for a couple of years.
For a couple of years. Who
Mr.
else?
Cocky.
You called him that? That
No,
was
I
his nickname?
didn't.
Oh, okay.
Sarah Jessica Parker did.
Okay.
What the frick? His name was Mr. Cocky. And
Mr. Big.
It was Mr. Big.
Yeah.
Yeah, but his card. Do you know,
thinking
John?
about his cocky.
No, I don't. His card. John, if you ever hear this goddamn interview, you're going to say, yeah, my card said Sway. It said Mr. Cocky.
It said Mr.
Yeah,
Cocky.
you know John would go out there and make cards like that.
I love him. He's been on our show.
Yeah, he's a
Okay.
legend.
Who else did I see you with in that book?
Prince? No,
Prince.
maybe not in that book.
Did you? What was the nature of your relationship with Prince?
Playful.
Yo, I gotta save these for later in my life, fam.
playful.
Playful?
Well,
I was very much like Prince was this. He would never talk really until he started talking. He's like, "Girl, what the hell are you doing, digging your fingers in my mouth?" I'm like, "Well, you're rolling gum," and like this tongue was coming out, and I was like, I went in there just naturally like a sister. I was like, "What? Like do you realize you have things dribbling out of your mouth?" I think that was his whole foreplay move on me. But at the same time, I thought he was losing some sort of, and I went in there to dig, and everybody was like, "What?" He's like, "You're gonna," and I was like. and then a week later I'm in Paisley Park. So what can I tell you?
Damn.
But I was there with Shaka and a few of us,
Shaka Khan.
Yeah, I never liked being part of I can't be a part of the girl. It's not my thing. Mm-hmm. But I can be remembered for being a little out there and crazy.
I love
this Taylor Dayne. I see we're going to do a part 2.
Yeah.
Leah Remini. That's your friend. I love her. That's your buddy. Did y'all grow up together?
We didn't, but we might as well have. We were kind of separated at birth.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Leah and I have. She is quite outspoken. I've had many a dinner with her or Roseanne, and where we discussed just what ping pong balls could do. And they're very comedically challenged. And I just would sit there and go, "You girls are so over the top. I don't understand what I'm supposed to do here."
When Roseanne had her outburst, how did you react to it?
I just, but she did come back with, vulnerability and try to, say, I apologize. Is that common? I don't know. Everybody, I just think people are harder on women when they fail, when they make a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just do.
Yeah, it depends on the kind of mistake you make, though.
That's true. She did make a bad one.
Yeah.
But then she spit the first time when she did the thing. But, Rose, it's just, I don't know if it's harmless or stupidity at one point or another, or just not really thinking.
Yeah. Possibly. I think the latter, too. You got a question?
Yes. Taylor, with all the biopics that we're watching now, all the autobiographies that we're reading, the entertainment industry, you're always reminded that it's a very tempting place to use drugs as well.
Oh, for sure.
Is that something that you had to navigate? Can you speak about that?
No, I'm too scared of that. I had enough agoraphobia and panic attacks myself getting through, just getting out of my household, that if I probably smoked weed once too many hits of it, and it was probably laced with something nobody wants to know about, and I found myself in a fetal position, in a closet or something, and I was like, help, tell my mother, tell my father, tell the neighborhood. My girlfriend was like, hell no, and don't ever give her some weed again, ever, don't give her anything. They were like, I was like, we're telling our parents we're going to the hospital. They were like, no, never again. I was like, don't ever give me that crap again.
Gotcha.
Okay.
They told me one hit, but and I had kind of a thing on the road with no drugs and all that stuff. Why? Because it just seemed right.
Amen.
Taylor Dayne, all right. One last question. Edwin's on the line from Pennsylvania. Go ahead, Edwin.
Hey,
real quick.
Hey, Taylor, how you doing, Ma? How's everything?
Everything is good.
That's what's up. Hey, I just wanted to give you a quick shout-out. Just a real quick story. I'm a truck driver. So I heard you was on the radio right now, and I said, oh, man, I got to call to see if I could get it in there right quick. Listen, I went to see you in concert. You was out here in Philly a couple of months back, and I just want to say, it was fire. I mean, I loved your performance. Yeah, you're awesome. I mean, no dancers. There was nobody up there but you.
That's true.
Let me tell you, man.
Well, there was some screens, but I hear you. You're right.
Yeah, it was all that. It was all that, and I appreciate you. I'm a fan for life. I never seen you in concert before, and after that day, I was like, wow, I did not know she was that good.
Wow, that's what's up, Edwin. You're a citizen, man.
Sway in the morning, homie.
And you can catch Taylor on the road. Taylor got the new book, Taylor Dayne, Tell It to My Heart, How I Lost My Shit, Conquered My Fear, and Found My Voice. If they want to follow you on social media,
all over. Yeah.
Okay, how can they follow you?
Real Taylor Dayne on Instagram, Taylor Dayne, Twitter, Facebook, Taylor Dayne.
And you got new
with
music?
A Y.
New music?
Yeah, I'm dropping a single in March, actually.
In March?
Yeah, baby.
Man, you come back up here.
Oh, I will.
All right.
It's up in
Miami tomorrow.
It'll be in your. Okay. It's in your wheelhouse too.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm in Miami on Saturday. Yeah, I forget. Yeah, I'm with TKA and we're doing a big show.
Oh shit. Okay.
At the arena there. So come on out, baby.
Congratulations, Taylor Dayne.
What a pleasure. Thank you for
having me. Good to have you
on
the show. Up next, we got our friends from Hooters are here.
Yeah, we got our friends from Hooters, from Kinesis Pudding. We having a party as well.
All right.